Hey everybody, how's it going? In this video, we're going to be talking about scope. Now, what is a scope of a variable? Well, that simply means is how accessible is that variable? Is it accessible to everything in your code or only a part of your code? Is it globally accessible to everything in your code? That's what I should have said. Or only locally accessible to part of your code? So let's have an example. If we write here plainly that b is equal to 10, and then, or 100. Let's define another function that says function. It's called a function, right? And in that function, right, we define b as being equal to 99. Okay, which one of them is right? Which one of them is correct? Well, it turns out that this b is entirely different from this b, because this b was locally defined, right? So it's only locally accessible. So if I were to make some calculations here, so let's say, for example, total is equal to b plus b, 99 plus 99, and I were to return the total, in that case, we would have something like this. So let me show you. Let's print the result of this function, okay? Now we would have something like this, 198 on the side. But let's print b underneath it. Well, it says 198 and underneath it is 100. Now why didn't b, which is the 100 one, change? Well, the reason for that is because that was defined globally and that was defined locally. So there is no, so anything that happens within that function, within that scope of that function, is local and only local. To have something that is global and to have something that is local. However, let's say that I want to make that be global. What should I do? Well, there is a nice little keyword that is called, ironically, global. So if I do this, right, and then I click the run file button, you'll find out that the answer changed from 198 and 100 to 200 and 100. And the reason for that is now I've declared this b and any b that comes within this scope as the same b that was declared globally. And that's the use of that global function. Generally speaking, the idea of global variables are bad practice. You shouldn't do that. And they're usually encapsulated into certain things such as functions and classes and things that we learn about soon enough. But there are certain conditions, very few conditions, where global variables are actually useful. And for example, about something that we will never change. So something like pi. Pi is something that we will never change. So if we keep it throughout, right? I don't know the next digits after 3.14. Yeah. So just pi, right? This is something that will never change. You know, the gravity is not something that it's basically a constant, something that will not change, and you don't need to define that more than once if you're if you're making, for example, a physics program, and that's what the scope of a variable is. Now, all of these stuff are something under the topic, under the umbrella of something called namespace. And in this area you have a certain namespace, and in this area you have a certain namespace. You're gonna learn more about this as you go through Python and as you go through any programming language. It's very similar to what I just explained. Anyway, I'll see you in the next one.